First of all, Javier, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. It's been a long time. So it's really good to see you post MBA. And you were just reminding me before we started recording that we had our last class in 2019, before COVID.
Thank you to Aham for having me here and having this conversation. Hopefully we will have someone. We had our last conversation back in 2020, more or less, before COVID.
Yeah.
So everything has changed so much.
I was a little shocked when you asked me, hey, when was the last time we had a chat? And I thought maybe you'll tell me 2022, 2023, and then you're saying 2019, 2020. I thought, like, wow. So the time goes by fast. I think that's important to remember. And this is a series of conversations I'm having with people in my network to help someone who's younger, who can't figure out what to do in their life, to figure out, find a vision, or maybe figure out how to find a vision and then how to actually take the steps to make that vision a reality. And so really thank you so much for your time. And when we spoke last, I think you were in Valencia and now you're in Paris, right? If you just told me you were in Paris and you're really happy over there. And so how did you find, let's start there. How did you figure out what you wanted to do in life? Was it something that is clear, or was it something that you kind of stumbled upon by trying so many things?
Yeah, so that's a tricky question. Everything seems so clear right now. Back then, at the age of 18, I didn't even know what I wanted to study. I did civil engineering because it was a good profession in Spain. Then I started, I didn't like it. I wanted to do more projects on my own, but I decided to finish it. I don't know if you're familiar in Spain. Civil engineering is bachelor and master, it's 6 years.
6 years.
I spent 6 years studying.
Okay.
I started working at the age of 24. So look at that. I'm 32 right now.
Okay.
I don't know if I can tell it, but I'm 32 years old. Actually, I've been working for 8 years, but these 6 years studying has been something I wouldn't say I regret, but something to take into account for the next generations.
So you would say that, well, what I will say actually, what is really interesting is that even though you're telling me that, okay, I didn't really like it, you were in the top of your class. You're like the top 5%, I think, right?
Yeah.
So that is really interesting to me. How did you find, I think maybe this is a bit of a side topic, but it is really important because I will tell you this. I studied electrical engineering. I really liked it because I liked math, I liked physics, but I was not in the top 5% of my class. So I think that is something that you exceeded, you excelled at. So even though it is not what you wanted, nevertheless, you were in the top 5%. How did you actually commit to being in the top 5%, even though it's not something that you particularly enjoyed? And then what is it that you did that allowed you to realize, like, okay, this is where I want to be now?
It's a special question,
It's big, right?
It seems as if I was excelling in something I didn't like. That could be the case for many people when you are young, before entering university. Of course, you're studying things, different subjects. Probably you won't like some of them, but you still have to excel. But why do you have to excel? Because you are competing against the others. I don't know if it has to do with my mindset. I was raised in an environment, a competitive environment, and at the same time, I was doing sports, football in particular. I was.
And you were competitive. You take it seriously, yes.
Yeah, you take it seriously. So it's a competitive mindset that takes you there. But at the same time, it's a carpe diem also thought, no? Like, I'm here, I'm in the middle of this, I still have 2 years to finish. Let's get the most of it. How do you do that? Trying to become more romantic with the subject, become more in love with the subject, and do the best you can, no? And try to get the most you can of the experience.
Okay.
That was back then, at the beginning of your, let's say, studying career, you have to somehow follow the path, and then you will see. It's never too late, that's for sure. I started working at 24, and I wouldn't say I'm a successful businessman, but I'm in a good way I'm in a good path right now to become one if possible in the future. Okay. I'm staying humble here.
So I do remember that was actually one of your phrases, carpe diem, like to seize the day, to make the most out of an experience. I think that is really very good advice, because you're in a situation, even though it is not the ideal situation, maybe perhaps not romanticize whatever it is that you're doing now in the hopes of getting something better, but to really seize the moment and extract the most value out of it. So as you say, aprovechar in Spanish.
Yeah.
Well,
Aprovecha el momento.
right. And then now you're also an educator because you taught finance, and that is great. And I do actually see, I follow your posts on LinkedIn and I try to learn from it. And I try to think, wow, a lot of the things that we covered in the MBA, I don't remember because in my day to day, I don't really perhaps do a lot of finance, but I actually really follow your posts. I bookmark them sometimes. I think like, oh, that's really interesting. Okay, I'm going to try to remember that later.
Tricky question for you. Do you like them?
I do. I think I find them like they provide a really good summary. I think also maybe it was today or yesterday you were posting about the S&P index and how
Yeah.
how it's like a top companies.
The weight of the top 10
the weight of
players
the
in the
top,
S&P
yes.
500,
Exactly.
which is a risk.
Yes, yes. And so it is really very valuable insight. It's valuable information. And so I do actually genuinely really follow your posts. So why do you post about these things? Is it like are you trying to maybe like lay the foundation for a business idea that you have later, or you just want to share information that you find interesting?
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, let's go back to the principles or foundations of my career. When I was back doing civil engineering, since the first year, I wanted to help the others. This is about helping.
Okay.
And I see reward when helping the others and see results. Okay, which is teaching is a way of getting this reward. Okay,
True.
because you help the others, they succeed, and then they are happy, you're happy. So I'm not doing this for money, that's for sure.
Okay.
But that's one of the things I like in my daily work. Okay, which is even as a CFO or even as a business development manager also for my company. I enjoy pretty much when I help the others to learn something and then apply it and see it applied and see that they get more results and so on. So this has to do with the way I work or the way I see myself also. Talking about vision, because you talked about vision before, I see myself helping the others, and then we'll see results on them, and their results and successful results, hopefully, will make me happy. So this has to do with teaching, but then I found, let's say, that my cup of tea after my first bachelor and master, which was finance. After doing civil engineering, I did a master's in finance.
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw finance, a balance sheet, P&L, etc.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything as an engineer. So
me neither. The first time I saw a balance sheet or a P&L was when I pursued the MBA. Before that, no idea.
That's
so
true.
Me too.
So then I did the MBA. That confirmed my idea, and that's why I then went to Wharton. I started in IB. So it was because I had passion.
Okay.
Passion is a superpower again.
It really
If
is.
you have
It really
passion,
is.
if you put passion in whatever you do and you're happy doing what you do, then you're gonna learn more, you're gonna read more, you're gonna share more. And this is what I'm doing right now in LinkedIn, is just sharing my knowledge. And if someone finds it useful, I'm happy to share, because back then I was trying to find my role models, for instance, in finance or whatever. And of course, I found some of them in LinkedIn, and I'm trying to give it back. So LinkedIn is just about giving back. And sharing, because taking the last point here, my grandfather did more or less once a day, twice a week. He used to do was writing down in a notepad all the things he learned while reading the newspaper or while reading books. I think he is the wisest person I've ever known. Now he's not there anymore, but he inspired me to read and be curious and read more and etc. And he shared those notepads to me
really?
and my brother. So we have them at home, and I'm somehow doing what he did, which is just reading every day. I always learn something every day at work.
Do you
just
actually
reading and then
journal?
sharing this.
Do you journal as well?
Excuse me?
Do you have an agenda and you write down the things that you learn,
No, I
etc.?
actually do it directly. We are in 21st century,
Okay, you do
so
it
I
right.
do it in LinkedIn,
Yeah.
but he used to do it in a in his
It's
journal.
it's interesting. So like there are a few like whatever what you say now, it really it intersects like a lot of ideas that I find really interesting. So number one, when you think about role models or mentors, I think that's a really important point where it's very important to seek out mentors, to seek out people who you can ask. And I thought that is something really that I wasn't wise enough to actively pursue. So ask someone. So whatever it is that I guess maybe the starting point was I'm not really sure what it is that I want to do. And so maybe like a remedy to the problem of I'm trying to think of like what are the things that someone who's listening to this can actually use and they can be actionable steps. So let's say you're not really sure. If you tell me if you agree, if you're not really sure what it is that you want or what is your vision, then whatever it is that you're doing now, carpe diem, do the best that you can, be the best that you can in the thing that you're doing. Number one, would you agree?
Yeah,
Right?
and that goes with Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if you remember like the scene with the cat, and
Yes.
it's something like I'm just guessing somehow the words, but
Yeah.
um, Alice is saying, where do I have to go? Which door do I have to choose?
Yes.
And the cat says, where do you want to go? And she says, I have no idea. And then
Yeah.
the cat says, so whatever door you choose is okay. Okay, so it's the same.
So whatever path you take is going to be a good path. Okay,
Just
I
go
agree with
there.
that. I
Yeah.
think that's very important. So it's very important to whatever opportunity I have, seize the moment, do the best that you can, take action, and then see where that path leads. Obviously, find mentors. So
True.
someone who you can look up to, who you admire, and ask for their advice. That is something that as I said earlier, I wasn't really wise enough to do, and it's something that I later learned where you think, okay, find someone who's taking that path and ask them questions. It would really save a lot of time, a lot of effort. They can guide you. Now, the other thing is when you talk about journaling, writing down notes, and you say like it's the 21st century, you immediately post into LinkedIn. And I think that is also a challenge for me where if I have a lot of information and I'm writing this, for example, like I see something that is interesting, and I think like this is really valuable. Let me write it down, and maybe I write it down on a journal. But then maybe I bookmark it on the browser, or maybe I bookmark it on LinkedIn. It's hard kind of to consolidate all the information into really one place in order to take action. And I found that interesting because when I looked at the website of your company, you guys provide a comprehensive solution for supply chain. So like you have all the information consolidated in one spot, and I think it's really valuable because then you can really make a good informed decision. You're not really distracted. So that was just kind of, I would say like, okay, a summary of what we just said is take action, seize the moment, find mentors, learn all the time, and then journal. So that is a lesson from your late grandfather. I think I absolutely agree with. Let me ask you another question. Why did you choose, and I'll share maybe my experience, why did you choose to pursue an MBA? And what do you think were the main benefits of pursuing the MBA?
Okay. So to be honest, at the beginning, I had my place secured at the MBA, but I didn't know if I wanted to do it.
Okay.
Let's be honest. Many partners at Deloitte and many people told me you don't need to do this to be successful in life. True, but not everyone finishes as a partner in their career.
Yeah.
It's very tough. So it was more about maximizing my chances to, I don't know, have a successful career.
Yeah.
Successful can be different for me and for other
Defined in
person.
many different ways. I completely agree.
Exactly. So maximize my chances. And at the same time, my brother, elder brother, just did the MBA 2 years before me.
Yeah.
So it was for him, it was a game changer, career changer. He could switch industry. He could be in the radar of many different players. Let's call it in the business ecosystem that was impossible before the MBA.
Okay, so he
And
wanted he wanted a job there, he wanted an opportunity there, and for him it was a path.
yeah, and he managed to do it. So he was the proof at home that
Yeah.
this was a very interesting path to take. And as I mentioned before, Alice in Wonderland. I had nothing to lose. I had no responsibilities. Of course, it's a huge investment.
Of time and money,
And then,
right?
but in the end, if you're gonna put passion, you're a curious person, you work hard, etc. It's not about money. Money will come, of course. You don't have responsibilities. Of course, many people have responsibilities and they have to cope with them. And it's very difficult then to pay back the loan,
Yeah.
etc. And all the commitment you have with the MBA. That's true. But my case was that I'm gonna say it was simple. Had nothing to lose. It
Okay.
was a great opportunity, a lot of outcome out there and potential return. So I decided to go there. And what was astonishing is like the results I'm getting right now are much higher than what I expected. I actually my expectations from the MBA were much lower, and I'm in a much better position than
Than
what
you
I thought
imagine.
before doing the MBA.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Like you made a very smart decision. What you really did essentially, what you just described is that you had very low, very little downside, very high upside.
Exactly.
And you had kind of that example or a template where you saw that your older brother did it. It was a positive experience, and you thought, okay, you know what? It looks like it's all upside to me, a little downside. So you would say that you would recommend someone pursue that path, but then try as much as you can to lower the downside. Maybe perhaps a
Exactly.
scholarship.
Exactly. So you can scholarship, sponsorship,
Sponsorship.
many
Okay.
ways.
Yeah. No, but I like it
uh,
because I'm trying to tie in all the lessons,
yeah,
all the things like when we're speaking of in terms of investment or finance, like you're lowering, it's like a low downside, high upside. There's a lot of upside to it, but also if you can lower the downside, then certainly go ahead and do so. So for you, it was a very positive experience, right?
yeah. Yeah, for
Okay.
me, it was a vital experience to get me where I am right now. So yes,
I,
it was a
I,
very positive one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So for me, the path was it's kind of similar. It wasn't so much directed in the sense that I thought I know exactly. Obviously, when you're writing your essays, you're presenting your application, you have to show a very logical path. This actually kind of makes sense with your past and whatever it is that you want. And I certainly had that. But I think for me, the main value was to figure out an alternative life path. So I like completely changed everything that I was doing, and I live in a different place now. But here's my question. Now I think it is a valuable path. And for me, the network is extremely valuable when you're pursuing an MBA. For me, that's one of the greatest things that you can derive out of it. So the network, the people you meet, exposing your life to alternative realities. But would you say that it's still as valuable as it was when you pursued it? Because now there are so many options where you have these opportunities that you can find online. There's like a mini MBA, there's an online degree, there's even like, okay, you don't need to go and pursue an MBA, you can take this course, there's AI coming. So now there's like this benefit of a lot of information accessible online, but it also introduces a problem of being distracted. And so someone who's not sure whether it's something that is valuable to them, would you recommend it?
So it's a complex, let's say, discussion in general. Okay,
It
because
is.
nowadays with AI, yeah, you go to ChatGPT and ChatGPT can throw you all the information you want, technical information and so on. The problem is not the bunch of information that you get from the MBA. I mean, you
Okay.
can pay whatever MBA you want. It's still the way you can simplify these ideas and get them into your mind and apply them later on,
The
which is
application.
not that easy.
It
Okay,
is not.
if not, I mean, this happened back in the Renaissance when printing was created, no? Because
Yes.
everybody had at that time access to information, but did that mean that everyone was having business and so on? No, the same happens now. Everybody has access to a lot of information. Does
Yeah.
this mean that everyone is gonna have more outcome through this access to
To be
information?
able to actually put it to
No,
good use.
still the same. You
Yeah.
have to work, you have to process,
Yes.
and you have to apply this.
I agree because I think that like I'll give you a personal like an example. So when with the AI models and ChatGPT, And I think I had another friend who shared a similar experience, even though we're in different functions, where it is a lot of information that someone thinks like, okay, you know what? So I have a friend who works in marketing, and when it was really kicking in, he lost some business. And because a lot of his clients were using ChatGPT to create a landing page, to do a marketing plan, etc. But then to create a wireframe for their website, but then they arrived at a point where there's just so much information that, and so what you're saying is really, it's very relevant. Like they could no longer really synthesize the information and take a decision. So they didn't have really the experience to think, okay, this is good information, this is bad information. Let me now all put it together under a unique vision. They couldn't really do it. And so I agree with you that I think a value of a place like like the MBA is not only, okay, you speak to professors, but your peers, and you're able to actually put those new terms that you're learning, these new ideas into practice and under a coherent whole. So I think I would argue that it's still very relevant in the sense that it is a place where you have mentors that can guide you and tell you, like, this is the information that matters, this is the information that doesn't matter. Even in my work, as I'm like coaching the GMAT or the SATs or the GREs, I sometimes use ChatGPT, but still it is kind of like a risk to me at some point down the line for sure. But for the moment, the answers that it provides are still not 100% trustworthy. You still need someone who's a human for now to really vet the information and to provide a coherent, let's say, narrative. So you would say still very relevant because you have that opportunity to actually apply the information.
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the point that comes second. The first one would be like, as you mentioned before, sorry, I didn't mention it before.
No. Sorry, please go ahead.
The asset, the best asset you get through 3S is the people. It's a great network.
Yeah.
And I mean, these people probably, I finished my MBA in 2023. So these people probably in the next years will be mid management, probably C-levels, and
Yeah.
they will be in a very good, very good positions all over the world. So not only in Spain, for many MBAs online, etc. It's just Spain, locally, etc. This is all over the world. We were back then, I think it was around 10% Spanish people.
Yeah.
So the rest comes from elsewhere, and the quality of the people because you are living with them, you are discussing with them, you are debating with them, you are learning from them.
Okay.
Their cultures, through the cases. Probably
Yeah.
there were doctors in my class. There were people that had no idea about finance, but had in their mind like completely different mindset that was opening your mind, and that's
right.
It's
like
it's
a different way of being. It's a different life. I totally agree. Was there a difference? Between like in the essay is the case method, but was it different from Wharton? How do they do it over there? How is it different?
Sure. So what I pretty much liked about Wharton was the storytelling.
Okay.
It wasn't case method based.
Okay.
So this is more Harvard.
Okay.
I pretty much like the case method, but then if you want to have the foundations of something, it's also very cool to have the storytelling. I'm going to tell it for corporate finance, which is a course I liked it very much at Wharton, even if I had studied it in IESE
Okay.
the year before
Okay.
joining Wharton.
Yeah.
But I would say the approach was completely different. I started with like the basis where all this started, the market mechanics, etc. So it goes from step to step, and it tells you. For me, Wharton was like Disney.
Okay.
It tells you like a pretty nice story, and this story is now in your head, and you can try to convey or share the story again. So it's the story.
And so you retain it
was
for
very
longer.
nice.
Okay, so it was more. So you would say it was more technical over there.
Technical, but thanks to this simplification through storytelling, you can get it. Yeah.
All right. And do you find that? I mean, and I'll be honest. Like for me, when I'm thinking about my day to day, how I run my business, what I do, I don't consciously see myself applying any specific tool that I learned in class, like theoretical. As I say, like for me, the main value was the network. It was absolute. I mean, without it, I wouldn't have, I think, had as much maybe legitimacy, or it wouldn't have been as easier to get more established in my work. But I do regret that I didn't really take advantage of business cases, because now, for example, when I think about, let's say, like a growth strategy or a marketing strategy, or how I can improve the operations of my business, I do regret that I didn't actually study more, maybe. So I do see that there is still, nevertheless, a value of having really maybe studied a little bit harder and not spend so much time networking and meeting new people. And so there is like still that value of, especially someone like me who's an engineer, where I think about, okay, how do you market? How do you position yourself in sales, etc. So there's still a lot of value in it, whether it's the case method or whether it's storytelling. So there is that still nevertheless value in the theoretical substance of whatever it is that you learn in the MBA. Here's a question, all right, just to kind of frame this conversation that we're having. What if there's someone out there? I mean, I think we kind of actually answered it, but I just had some questions. As someone who's trying to do, because I was going to ask you about what would you tell your 20-year-old self, but I think we kind of answered it, right? We said have a mentor, take advantage of the situation that you're in, do the best that you can, and then take the path, and the path will open up as an Alice in Wonderland.
Be patient.
Be patient, I think, is really very important. But you know, some people would actually, let's make it more interesting. Some people disagree. They say like, no, don't be too patient. I was reading a tweet by Elon Musk, and he's saying like, no, don't be patient. If there's a 10-year plan, try to do it in 6 months. You'll learn more. What do you think?
Seeing things in life take time. If you're a genius, it's possible. If you are like the rest, I consider me one of the rest. So it takes time, and if you want to reach something, you have to, I mean, I don't want to tell you like mark sentences, like go with people and so on. It's true, you're going to work with people. So, I mean, you cannot push people, otherwise they're going to shout at you. So you have to consider who they are, what they want, what they like, what's their ambition in life. And then together in a group, you have to pursue something and try to get as much as you can. So I don't know if it's going to be 6 months, 5 years, or 10 years. Be patient, try to do the best you can with the resources you have. And that's somehow a management view, what I'm telling you. But it's very difficult in the end to reach great ideas, unless you're a genius, just genius apart, to do it without a plan and trying to push as much as you can, because people react.
I completely agree. And I think there's a lot of, I mean, it becomes this immense challenge, or there's kind of a trend where you think like, don't go to school, quit school, start an idea, I mean, I think not everybody's has that talent or the resources to actually do it. So like, for example, for me, when I was working as an engineer, I didn't really have any kind of a unique skill set that allowed me to start a company. I really had to go through that path and like to find a way to really shift. And so there's also this danger where everybody says like, no, like quit school, start a company, don't do it in 10 months, you can do it in 6 months. And you're right, it's a bias, because not everybody has that genius that allows them to do that. So it is, I do agree that it's important to be patient. So I would say that the advice, or maybe the summary of our conversation is, whatever it is that you're in, make the best that you can, do the best that you can, aprovechar, as you would say in Spanish, have mentors, always be learning, and be patient.
Let me share something I learned through Yese, which is not everything in life is work. That's for sure. I mean, that's why I mentioned before success. Okay, I cannot measure my success and your success or someone else's success. Each one has a different mindset, and
A different metric.
This is what I learned through Yese. There were like 3 things: ego, power, and money. Okay, these are no goals; these are means. Okay. And if your goal is money, power, or ego, you're not gonna have enough. You can always have more. Okay.
You can always have more.
So these are actually means to a goal, which is our goal, as I'm gonna say in general terms, humans is people. I mean, we are connections. We want to be connected, have good time with people, share ideas, share stories with people, be happy with people. So this is the ultimate goal. So as long as you're doing fine in these three aspects to get your final goal, you'll be okay. It depends. Each one has a different threshold here, and they want more or less. But in the end, this is about people and being with people. This is something I learned in IESE. And whenever I'm stuck at work or doing too much and I need to reset myself, I just think of this idea that Professor Calleja shared, and then I'm going back to the basics. Yeah. Whenever I'm in trouble, I go back to the basic.
But I think that is actually really it's amazing advice. So I would say, and what's very important to remember is to give back to people. And I completely agree. I think that is there's no better way than that to end the conversation. So I think, yeah, let's not forget to give back. And so that's why I want to thank you for giving back and giving me your time today and sharing your experience. I hope this was a conversation that's helpful to anybody out there who's a little bit lost and is looking for some guidance. Javier, thank you so much for your time, man. And it's really, really good to see you again.
Thank you, Eham. And just sharing my profile or whatever to who else is in trouble or needs something, I'm here also to help. And thank you very much for your time. And it was a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you so much. And I hope we don't wait until another 5 years or 6 years before we have a chat again.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.